Hello.
Hello.
I'm
That's
Chris.
wait, that's Chris.
Oh, that's Kara.
We're the Midnight Babes. Woo!
Today.
Intro, spooky music here.
I don't know what this is.
We're
I just
back.
flipped that as the intro.
I don't know what this is. Let me intro sound.
Anywho.
We're back today with more from Nick Roberts.
What's up,
We
dude?
are loving Nick's
Oh, yeah.
stuff right now. So we did It Haunts the Mind and other short stories.
Yep.
So there's actually quite a few short stories in this book, right? And I just kind of want to preface this with like some of them Nick had wrote as like part of like whether it was like an author's like submission to like write a short story about like a Western. So some of these were like already written, from my understanding. There's quite a few, but they're pretty short. So we're just going to kind of like talk about some of our favorites. We're not going to go through all of them.
Yeah.
And just like how we felt about it. We don't really want to like give too much.
Especially when it comes to short stories, because like those are ones that you just need to read.
Yeah, like they're not long. Like
No.
go read them.
Yeah.
So like they were great.
Yeah.
The first one was Sally Under the Bed.
I have to say that's one of my favorites.
And that was one of
That
my
got me.
favorites too. This gave me like Bloody Mary vibes. Like you don't say Bloody
I used to play
Mary.
that all the time
Yes,
as a
me
kid.
too. Me
It
too.
creeped me the hell out.
This is a version of that with like Sally Under the Bed though, and you technically say
Of course,
the
that
same thing.
Yeah, and of course I read that. Wow, sorry, hold on a second. Clip my eyeball. Holy Jesus.
Clip my eyeball.
I'll get back to that. Okay, so technical difficulties.
Technical difficulty with my eye.
For Sally Under the Bed, like that one being the first one that I read, like it's the first story, obviously. But when I started this, I was already in bed. You know, my son's asleep, and like I'll just sit there on my Kindle and read. And then I read that, and I was like, can't sleep.
Can't sleep.
I was like, but I'm not getting out of this bed
done.
because my bed is like I have that little, little storage space underneath my bed and whatnot. I'm like, no,
Nope, no thank you.
now I'm not getting up.
I mean, you like the literal game is like you sit on the ground and you say this rhyme.
Yep.
And if you say the rhyme out loud, Sally's gonna appear from under the bed all bloodied and freshly killed, like how she died, which is told in the short story. And yeah, you can't say her name or the rhyme or you're gonna summon her vengeful spirit.
Yep.
The poem is 12 lines long, 3 sections, 4 lines each a stanza.
Yeah.
So like the
read
girls,
it in your head, just don't read it out loud.
yeah, like the girls in the story are kind of like setting up one of their other friends to like take the fall for this, right?
Like they're just being bullies.
And another woman is writing about this story. Okay, so Tasha, who's writing about it, goes and tries to find one of the girls that told the story, right? She then like basically begs her to give her the Sally Under the Bed story, pays her for it, and the lady is like,
No.
I'm not gonna say it. I will write it down for you.
That's it.
But do not say it aloud. Like, do not say it aloud, right? So this woman gets home, and the way the story ends is just wild. I mean,
I did not see it coming. To be honest, because like this lady has a daughter and
a
a husband, and that's all I'm gonna say. Because like that really, like if you really want to be spooked and like how the fuck all this ended, like you need to read
You
it.
just
Like
need to
I'm not
read
saying
it.
anything else
Yeah.
about it, but like that story was one of my favorites. That
it had
he
good
has written.
lore.
Oh my God.
I will note, like, they're in the Appalachians.
Yep.
There is, there's some touch on a drug addict, like drug abuse, overdose, suicide. That's going to hit in every single story
Yeah.
in this book.
Yeah.
And if not every story, 90-80% of them.
Yep.
But Sally Under the Bed, I'm going to say that's like a 4.5 out of 5 for me.
Oh, 100%.
That was one of my favorites.
100%.
The Deal was about the hitman.
Right. That one, it was fun, but like I was expecting a little bit more.
This one wasn't scary, but it was kind of
that's
like,
what it is. It's like I thought what this like the whole series was.
It was
more
an
about.
interesting play though on addiction.
Oh yeah.
And this one I do want to talk about. It's another call out to hillbilly heroin, right? So the opioid epidemic. I think we all are aware at this point, right?
Yep.
And we also know in West Virginia, the epidemic hit really hard there and very early on. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. We're going to call it what it is. And I understand that Nick may have dealt with some of this personally. I find that his ability to write about these things and to use that as a tool is so well done. And it's not necessarily triggering to read it, but almost comforting. You can tell it's being used as like a tool.
Yeah.
The writing is.
Yeah,
so
it's not just for like shock and awe.
it is. It's almost like diary sometimes. Like there are bits and pieces where you can kind of feel like that hit hard. That has to be. So I liked this short story, The Deal, because it is about Rufus, who is absolutely addicted.
Yeah.
He's like 25 years old, junkie, single, has no job, like whatever. He's just not loving it, okay? So he hires a hitman for himself, and he's like, in 5 years from today, if I don't have sobriety, job, friends, or a family, track me down and kill me.
Yeah.
And the hitman is like, the fuck? We're not going to take the free money.
Yeah.
And like, Rufus doesn't even know that the hitman's going to come back. He could never come back. Like, we don't know that.
He's just like, you know what? He needed something to give himself, like that
motivation, right? So he does turn his life around. We see him 5 years later. He's sober with a family. The hitman does come back, and he lays out drugs for him instead of killing him.
Yep.
And he's actually testing his happiness rather than his sobriety.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Ronald decides to live.
Yep.
And I thought that was just a really moving story told in a very interesting way.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Like, I would never hire a hitman to motivate my ass to get to the gym.
No. Has to be dead.
For sure. I didn't make it today.
No.
I didn't make it yesterday. I would have been dead twice. But I thought it was a very interestingly told story. And I thought it was beautiful, too. The fact that they weren't testing his sobriety, but his happiness.
Yeah. I think for me, like, overall, from going from Sally to The Deal.
It was hard.
That was what was difficult, because I was expecting more like Sally. Like, I thought that's what these stories were going to be about, but they were, like, all over the place. Which, I mean, looking back at it now and having read everything, I did like it, because it separated, it gave that little breaks for in between.
Yeah. But we did think they were going to be all very, like, spook.
Yeah. So I think that's why it's like, that was
yes.
a little,
I got you.
You get what I'm saying. It's,
I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah.
I actually put, I kind of wish we had this service for those who are struggling and want to be better, but not with the actual, like,
murder
hitman part. Yeah. Which, like, we do. There's motivational, there's life coaches out there, right? I gave it a 2 out of 5 just because it wasn't, like, spooky for me. But again, I still really liked the way that the story was told, and I still liked the story itself.
Yeah.
The third one was The Halfway House. Loved this one.
That one was fun.
This gave me Dean Koontz vibes.
Yeah, and like you read more Dean Koontz than I do. I think I've maybe read one of his books.
He's all
like
scientist, like fuckery scientist. So that's why it gave me Dean Koontz vibes. Yeah, so this one, I mean, we're in a halfway house.
Yep.
2 guys in a halfway house. They get a knock on the door. They got new intake. They're not supposed to take new intakes. And before this, he was, like, approached by some other men in a van.
Oh, yeah.
And they were like, this is, we're going to give you this drug. All you have to do is go to a recovery house, do the drug, and then you can leave. And then I was like, what?
Like, why?
I'm like, okay, well, that's not how things work. But, like, okay.
This kid did it.
Yeah, so this kid comes into a halfway house where there are 3 people already settled in, living there, doing their sobriety, right?
Yeah.
The other man that comes in, he, like, ends up shooting himself up with the drugs as instructed, and then gets all fucked up, like, turns into a zombie. He's got, like, ooze coming out.
Like raging zombie.
Yeah, and he's, like, sniffing them.
It's gross.
He's like, you know, he's all fucking creepy. He's, like, biting their collarbones off. It's just like all out, like, brawl, like, fight for your life inside of the halfway house. And we hear the men from the van come into the house. And they tell, you know, the survivor, Hayden, that they gave this drug. His son was an addict and OD'd, right? Yep. And so he created a cure, which is what he gave to Cliff to kill the disease. So, like, the cure is turning yourself into a zombie, drug-sniffing monster to kill other people.
Well, I thought it was one of those, like, oh, you take it, and then if you're actually sober and you fought it, like, nothing would happen to you. But, like, if you were still struggling or anything like that, that's when you get turned into a zombie, because, like, that's how he, like, perceived the drug or whatever.
Yes. So, and then he's attacking the zombies, like, attacking everybody else, right? So I just thought it was interesting. I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah.
I was like,
that was a fun one, though.
What did they give this guy? I did put, like, this was more fun. I mean, it was very action filled.
Oh, yeah.
It pops off from the beginning. This one hit home for me, for addicts or recovering addicts. It was a great, scary play on recovery, and some of the anger associated with the opioid epidemic, you know, of lost families and lost loved ones. Yeah. I put 3.9 out of 5. I thought it was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I like that one.
Agreed.
Probably could give it a 4. Thanks for Sharing was a sad-ass fucking short story.
Which one was that again?
This was the one about the AA meeting. And this is more, I won't touch on that one, but it was a sad one.
That one.
I just didn't see the twist coming at the end.
No.
And I was just sad, man. Like, that was one that, like, afterwards, I was like, I need to take a break. I need to take a minute.
That one, yeah, no, I agree. So that one is definitely, like, you just need to read that one, because that was.
Props to Nick for being able to write these things.
Oh, my God.
Because, especially if you're able to turn me away like that and be like, I need to, like, take a moment to sit with this. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I think any true artist, whether it's, like, acting, musician, writing, if they're able to evoke any sort of emotion out of me, you're doing your job.
Right.
You're doing your job.
No, 100%.
The Paperboy.
Fuck this one, man.
This one was my favorite. The Paperboy was my favorite.
That was,
This little boy's a paperboy. Okay? I mean, so was Nick. I told you at, like, the end, it, like, breaks down all the short stories. So was Nick, so I thought that was fun. But there's, like, an anomaly house on his route, and he's been doing this paperboy route for, like, 2 years. He doesn't really like to, like, do, this certain guy's house, and he just kind of, like,
I think, like, he talked to him, like, once, and then the dude was just like, this is how we're going to do it for moving on. Yeah, he was like, okay, sir.
He's like, never forget my paper. Yeah. Like, just never forget it.
And I will leave the money taped to the door. Like, you don't need to knock. Yes. Don't do anything else.
Yes. So then, like, the paperboy sees his friends are playing, and he's like, I want to go play. Like, he's a kid.
My whole summer is, like, going by.
I'll finish my route later. So they're, in the river, like looking for golf balls that have been hit from the course, and they see a murder happen.
Well, he does.
He does. And he is like, oh my God, what the hell? And so then he like goes back to his friends.
And he's like, we gotta go.
And then the people that murdered this dude see these kids, right? So then they're like chasing them.
Like, we just want to talk. We're
not gonna hurt you, but like, dude, you just killed somebody. Y'all are under the influence as well. Like, I don't think that's how this is gonna play out.
Like, no wonder these kids
and
are
these kids are like,
life.
you're gonna get fucked. Like, we're gonna call the police. So it's crazy because they then like come to like this Boulder dead end situation, and we see that all of a sudden, like, one of the bad guys goes to like jump onto the boulder to knock the kids off, and he gets like suspended in midair with a spear through him, and some sort of like beast man terrifying thing like slides his body down the spear towards him and then like runs off with his body, and we're kind of like,
I can't
and the kids are like,
oh my God, like, I can't help but like in my brain, like, I know Nick describes how this beast or this dude looks, but in my brain I literally could not think of anything else but a fucking ogre from like Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, I mean, like with overalls on, like tattered overalls.
Yeah, like this big monstrous, like ogre looking dude, not like green or anything, but like
skin like that. Yes, I agree. So
like, that'd be fucking terrifying.
This creature is like laughing. They can hear it in the woods. The kids are trying to like run away, right? Because they're like, we don't want to get eaten next. We don't know what this is. The paper boy tries to jump, and the creature actually like grabs him.
Yeah.
And is like, he's about to like take him with. He's got him over his shoulder. He's dragging the other two dead people. The creature is about to eat the paper boy and realizes it's a paper boy and yells, "Bring me my paper!"
He's like, I didn't get my paper this morning.
And it's Finster. He sees the overalls. He smells like the cats. He realizes like it's him, and he's taking the golfers away, the murderers away.
He's like, don't forget my paper. And this paper boy is like,
sir, yes, sir. So Jimmy like immediately runs to the Finster house, like after he gets like set
grabs
down,
his bike and just jets.
And his papers. He goes over there and he knocks on the door and he apologizes and gives him his paper. It's like they have an unspoken truce that they ain't gonna tell no one nothing about the situation. Jimmy returns to normal kid life the best he can till he sees an ambulance at age 15 and he's dead. Jimmy didn't know that he died because he had never been back to the port because he never charged his ass for the paper again. He figured he just owed him one for not killing him.
Yeah, he was just like throwing the papers or whatever.
He never like went back up to the door after apologizing. But this one was good. It had my anxiety going the whole time.
I love anything with like a good spooky monster coming in.
Yes. It was good. I gave it a 4.5 out of 5. I thought it was
great.
Fantabulous. Hunting season. This was also a sadder story, with I mean, there was a hunting accident. And this one was kind of sad. We did kind of get a full life story of this man very quickly in this one, so that was cool. And it touches on depression and holiday depression. Again, the ability to write about such real things does a lot for me. Even if I don't necessarily love the story itself, it still hits the emotions.
Well, and it sucks. It's like, not like sucks, but what hit hard kind of for me is because I've seen so many newspaper clippings of things like this happening. Not like the full thing, but like having a hunting accident or whatnot. And especially where I'm from, like hunting's a big thing. And so I've heard like nothing about.
And my family's always hunted. Right. And it's like you always look a few times, right? Before
You wear your safety gear,
Yes.
you do all this, but when two kids are going out and they have earbuds in and like,
they're wearing fur.
like it's
I mean, yeah, this poor guy accidentally shot
one
a
of 'em.
child, and kind of has to live with that. And
Yeah.
we see that kind of work backwards, right?
Yeah.
Of how he's been struggling with it for like 10 years at
Years.
this point, and with addiction and alcoholism. And
so yeah, that one was just very. It was very hard. It was very deep.
it was heavy.
It was heavy. That's the word I'm looking for. Yep.
Yeah,
All right,
so we have Grandma Ruth in there. That was a good one. Also some trigger warning, because it
Yes.
almost felt like Grandma Ruth just hated gays. And if
Very,
that's the case,
it very
fuck
like,
you, Grandma Ruth.
It was very like a homophobic type of feel for sure.
But also kind of like fucked up,
Well, like, yeah,
for sure.
Oh yeah.
Like, well, fucked up in the homophobic way,
yeah.
but also like fucked up in other ways.
Yeah.
So I was like, that was a whole.
Like supernatural, creepy ways too.
Yes. Percepto, that was the movie film one.
Tricks the town.
Yeah, where he tricks his
Right.
wife and the entire town. The Percepto.
Like I will say that was a fun one though.
I didn't see
thought.
it coming.
Yeah.
I wasn't necessarily like in love with the story, but it was really dark.
Yeah.
So
It had a nice little like ending.
it was a
so.
good one. The bitter end. This one was okay. It was about a homeless guy who couldn't get a job, suffering from alcoholism and
Right.
homelessness. Sees some like shady business
Business
dealings
happening.
and is called to like pretend to be a cop, like, basically like, we're gonna stop them from doing business here, and like we're gonna steal their money, and like then you can. I mean,
And then
he does get away with a bunch of money
Yeah.
and drugs to start a new life, but I was kind of like, huh?
yeah. Yeah, I was like, where is this going?
Yeah, I didn't really like. It didn't have a full circle for me.
Yeah, and like
And
that's kind of like how we need it to. Like either it needs
Yes.
to end like it needs to have a full circle, or it needs to end
To-
like just kind of cut off, so like we have those additional questions. This one just kind of
Yes.
felt like it kind of trickled, and I'm not really a super big fan of it, but it was still like fun for like the whole shootout scene. So
yes,
that was fun.
I will agree. It was fun for the whole shootout scene.
Mm-hmm. What else was there? There was
He's got so many.
like in there.
The Devil's Road, that one was fun. That was about like the guy who was making the podcast, and they go to his girlfriend's house for spring break.
Okay, now I will say like I didn't really see all of that.
I didn't see all that
like
coming.
happening, because that was the serial killer.
Uh-huh.
That was a good one. So read that one. I'm not going to go too much in that.
That was like a 4 out of 5 for
That
me. That was a good one.
that was a good one.
2 Decades Down and I Only Love You at Night. This was like a Vietnam 70s war love story.
Yep.
I don't know. I was kind of like not feeling it,
Mhm.
but then I rated it a 3.5 out of 5. So I must have been feeling something.
Because here's the thing, like we did read this a little while ago. It's just we're just now getting around to recording because of like how our schedules have been. So sorry, Nick, love you.
Love you, sorry. We promise we're reading though.
We just did that binge. So like some of these, and I think it's also like with short stories, it does take a little bit to remember exactly which they
What's
are, because
going
you're reading
on.
them back to back to back. It's not
Yes.
just a singular book.
And there are different characters too, guys. So much more going on.
And I will say, like with how my brain is, I tend to blend
I do too.
books together.
I do
So
too.
and like movies. So you'll find that out when we're recording, and then I'm
Yeah.
gonna look back and be like, wait, that wasn't correct.
Well,
Well, you guys know what we're talking
human.
about.
We're human. Voodoo
Yeah, boy.
Bay. This was interesting because they like it's this couple on a honeymoon, and they're just
Yeah.
like chilling on the beach on the resort, and the guy is like bored of this like resort vibe and wants to do like all the
I wanted to
local
do
stuff.
more.
I want to do the local stuff, so they go to this like island and this village in Voodoo Bay. Well, it's Voodoola Bay, but it's called
Voodoola.
Voodoo Bay.
Mhm.
But
That was a fun
then
one.
they see the Vizra, which is like the oldest inhabitant that
Mhm.
lives in the ocean. It's like an ocean demon, monster, snake-like thing. So again, you give us a good monster and we're
Yeah.
sold.
Yeah.
But yeah, these two like get the bright idea to like, go ahead and go look for it.
Well,
because
like they're all saying like, oh yeah, this is who we worship on like this island, this little island, but like you stay inside, you do all this like because you're not local, blah blah blah. But then they hear something like, we're just gonna go for
check
a
it
walk.
out. Yeah, we're gonna go check it out.
And then they see the fucking thing happening with like all of the little village town is like worshiping this thing.
Yeah, it was weird.
One chick was like what, giving birth.
Yeah.
Birth?
I was going to say it's not a human, but like she birthed. That's why I was like, yeah. Yeah.
But so that was a good one. That was like a 4 for me.
Yeah, like I don't know. It was doing stuff with its tentacles. I was like, oh, girl.
You love me some good tentacles. Hey.
Yeah, it makes a tentacle and removes the monster babies from the old ladies and then implants them with a seed for another. I'm like, ew, get that tentacle out of there. You asked for the local experience and you go get it. Don't be damn greedy and then shame others. Fun read, 4 out of 5.
Don't shame. We don't kink shame in this house.
And if you're going to ask for the local experience, you're going to get it and you're going to deal with it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You asked.
That's your bad, Miles, not mine. The Weeping Wind, that one was the really sad one about her parents driving, looking for drugs in the car and pulling off.
That hurt.
This was, again,
like it was very well written.
It was sad. It was too real. It was too...
Nick, you're killing me with these super sad reads, man.
It was too real. It was
like,
good.
I get it, but it
was good, but I cried that entire short story.
That one hurt. I think anything that has to do with kids.
I was going to say, because I'm sitting here from the child's point of view, right? Thinking, and the way it's written, you can see like, the parents in the front and then outside. So it's like, I have myself in that child's shoes. Not necessarily in the father's shoes there.
But also, like reading things like that, it just makes me think like how great of a mom I am.
I got this.
I was like, I'm a good parent. I'm a great parent.
You got this. It was good, though. I still gave it a 4 out of 5 on my list. The Noose, that was at like 1876.
That was fun.
You like that one?
I liked that one.
I do not like westerns. They're not my style, but it was told well. Yeah,
see, like I mean, okay, my husband, like he's from California, but they also do like a lot of westerns and things like that because of like Nevada and all that stuff. So he's very into westerns. So like I've watched it, especially with my father-in-law, things like that, and how it kind of played out and how it was written, like I could see it clearly. It
was written really well that you could see, the tree, the like walk, right? Like the horse running, like we got all of it.
Yeah.
And it was fun, like the way that like the boy in the noose held Wade up so he could play dead. Like there were a lot of fun things that happened in there, which again, like just because westerns aren't my thing doesn't mean I'm not gonna like read it or it's not good. Like it was still good. Wade,
I really like that one though.
Wade said everybody deserves second chances, and they do. It was a good one. Yeah. And then lastly was It Haunts the Mind.
One of my favorite ones because it ties in
to The Exorcist.
The Exorcist house.
Happens in '93 in West Virginia. Mm-hmm. These kids are actually looking at The Exorcist house
because it's before they all move in.
Yes, before the new family. The Hills move in.
Yep.
So basically, it's this friend and his gay friend Dwight and Sarah, and they're all talking about how like the FBI and priests were trying to like interview Alan and like the lawn boy and Amelia. Like he brings everything back from Exorcist house,
and like
right?
you see like the one part of the house is still burnt because nothing's being fixed yet.
Yep, nobody's been there.
But they're like, oh, we're gonna go. Let's have a party.
Have a party, and then like of course there's like a little fire area, and Buck shows up. So this is just great to like tie in things. Yeah. But we do get to see like how Sarah has like a seizure, and how she's clearly possessed. So like
you get to like they mention the eyes and how they talk, and
you see the MB initials. Yep. Like Alan has Merle's pipe.
Yeah.
And I love that Nick wrote this. Alan has the pipe of Merle's. He couldn't leave it because it was anathema to him. I know. I really wish we would have read anathema first.
I fucking know.
Because now we're over here like, oh.
Now we're seeing all these, and Nick is over here like, did you catch all of this?
And
And
we
we're
were
like,
like,
what are you talking
huh?
about, Nick?
And then he let us some little breadcrumbs, and we were like,
So now I think I need to reread Anathema.
no.
No. We need to reread The Exorcist House.
Yes.
And then Anathema.
Because at the end of Exorcist House, the baby's name is Marin. And Marin is the crazy bitch in Anathema. And, you know, the family in Anathema is passing. Or no, the Hill family
Is passing
this
the River's Edge.
River's Edge, which Anathema is in. So, like, Nick is doing a little bit of world building here.
Yeah.
And keep it going.
Yeah.
We really like it when you tie this stuff in for us. It
'Cause,
makes
like,
us
that-
really happy.
Because honestly, like, it did not dawn on me until you were messaging him and he was talking about this.
Yeah.
And then, like, it clicked.
Then I was like,
it
oh my
clicked.
goodness. Yeah, I was like, I gotta reread this.
I was like, oh my God. That's why I was messaging you. I was like, there's the baby.
Yeah, I was like, oh my goodness. Because Nick's over here, like, leaving breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
And he's like, did you know, like, what year did it happen? What neighborhood was passed? What was the baby's name? And I'm over here like, why are you drawing lines that don't go nowhere?
Where?
And then we're talking about it. We were like, whoa.
Wait a
I
second.
went through and I was like, okay, the year, the neighborhood, the name. And then I was like, my gears went
Going.
kink, and they like set in. And we were both like,
Oh my God. Like, we were both like screaming at each other in caps
Yes.
while we're like texting
we
each
were like,
other.
I can't believe it. So I was like, love that. Anytime you're going to tie something from like a previous writing in,
yeah.
I'm all here for it.
Yeah.
Favorite story, again, I think Paperboy.
For you?
Paperboy, yeah, was a good one. I really liked
Sally's, man. Sally's one of my favorites.
Sally Under the Bed, and then of course It Haunts the Mind.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely think it was Sally, Paperboy, It Haunts the
Yes.
Mind. Well, I mean, I'll probably put Paperboy at the end. It'd be Sally, It Haunts, and then Paperboy.
That makes sense.
I just really liked Sally. I love the fucking
Though
Bloody Mary shit.
It
you
was
know?
a Bloody Mary vibe, so.
I love spooky, scary stories like that.
And then I just had some like questions for Nick, and then I think I ended up like answering some of them in like the back of this book. Like, why do a lot of the stories involve the opioid epidemic? Is this to bring this to light, or is there something more personal involved? And I believe we've discussed that Nick has had, you know, his personal experience.
Yeah, I think he's talked
with
about
this,
that, like,
so
interviews and writing
that would
it.
be the answer,
Good, sure.
right? A lot of these take place in West Virginia. Is there emotional tie there? Well, he lives there.
Well, I think he actually lives in South Carolina.
Oh, does he?
Yeah, I may have gotten it wrong.
Okay, I'm curious. I want to know why everything is written.
He
in
may be
West
from
Virginia.
West Virginia.
Yeah, that
We'll need
could
to ask
be.
him.
Let's see. Notes mentioned that the deal story was something that Nick thought of during his addiction. Was an idea that he had thought of, like the Hitman one.
Dang.
Thanks for sharing. It was about Nick's brother. Nick used to be a paper boy. Hunting season was true to Nick's Thanksgiving and the worst that could happen.
Oh my God.
So, and I'm just taking like clips of whatever was at like
At the end of the book, yeah.
Kindle. Nick used to work in nonprofit homeless and rescue resource shelters.
Okay, so he'd get a lot of stories from that.
He wrote Devil's Road because true crime podcasts were starting to pick up at that time.
Yeah.
2 decades and an I Only Love You at Night was a love story for Nick's mom, centered around a lifelong love. The Weeping Wind was amazing, but Nick does admit it's not an enjoyable read, but the shocking scenes were needed.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
that tracks. And then It Haunts the Mind is the prologue to Exorcist House. So
It's so good, man.
yes, we're
Just like
loving it.
how Nick writes and how he brings stories together. Like, it's never a dull moment for me.
I'm normally anxious as hell and
Yeah.
ready to like keep going, right?
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, like what do you have next for me?
That's why I'm
'Cause
very excited about Mean Spirited.
so am I.
So excited to read it.
And we'll be here with our no spoiler review.
Yep.
And we're stoked. I mean,
We're
like,
stoked.
we are excited.
I'm ready. I'm excited. I don't have anything else planned after like opening up Christmas shit.
Nope, me neither. I'm probably gonna have that read before I get started on Titan, but we'll see.
Oh yeah, because I already finished Titan, so I got to start the. I think the next one's Grave. I don't know for the
Damn.
Dark Kingdom.
Maybe I will just read Titan today. Yeah, so when we do come back, we'll do some more Chantal Tessier.
Yep.
We have Code of Silence starting her Dark Kingdom series.
Which we already did. We already do that one?
No.
JK, I read it.
I don't think so. We did not do that.
I don't think.
one.
No, we need to record that one.
Yeah.
You know, we have a list. We have things. It's the holidays.
It is the holidays. And then we'll do Titan. We'll go through all those. But
the
then
Dark Kingdom books.
We'll be back with Mean Spirited too in
Yep.
between. And
We're going to be starting more on
movies.
HD and movies.
yes.
Well, because there's a few new movies coming out that I'm very excited
like
about.
Imaginary.
Night Swim.
Yeah, there's quite a few that are
And
coming
I know
out.
there's more, so
Yeah, if you guys got
Stoked.
suggestions,
hit us up.
DM us, email us, find us on TikTok, Instagram,
TikTok, Instagram,
Spotify,
YouTube.
YouTube, anywhere you can find
You
a
know,
podcast.
You know, because we can definitely promote what we're doing. We are great promoters. Woohoo!
God. All right. Well, thanks
Okay.
for joining us.
Thanks.
Hope you guys have a happy new year or are having a happy new year,
Oh, yeah.
depending on when this is made or put up. You can clip that. That was gibberish.
It's saying it now.
You're so mean.
Well, whatever. You guys have a happy holidays. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy holidays. Cheers, bitch. Boop, boop.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to see more from us, you can find us on Instagram at the Midnight Babes Podcast and on TikTok at the Midnight Babes. Stay spooky, friends.